Hey, so, we hear Caballero is struggling with kidney stones. I hope you get better soon.
Round 1!
Hello, it's me, Wolficide, once again, with the one and only sword. If you couldn't tell already from the beginning or the title, this is about Jasonafex, or Jasonafex, however you'd like to pronounce it. And if you don't know who this lizard man is, be glad. He made Amaranth. Or, here's a little bio from WikiFur. Jasonafex is a furry from Western Australia. He has a close relationship with Caballero, blah blah blah, and lives with her in Caledonia, Ontario, Canada. He's straight, loves making and viewing gay art with her. Now that you know who he is, there's only one thing that this article missed. He's an egotistical, pathetic excuse of a human being, and let's get into why.
My name's Jasonafex. I've been a furry for a couple of years. I mainly introduced myself to the community via just being able to design characters that you normally wouldn't be able to do.
As a musician in this community, I've done many commissions and worked to get to where I am today. A great way for artists and musicians to build a following is through like raffles on Twitter or any other social media network that you like to use. You basically make a post with some examples of what you're giving away and tell people to retweet and follow you to enter. And then use a handy utility like this one to draw a random person who retweeted the post. You then check to see if they're following you, of course. This person then wins the prize and you give them a commission free of charge. Our good buddy Jason does not seem to understand this, however. Also, just as a side note, I'm going to be keeping the names of the people involved in the story private, except for Jason, of course, since I'm sure they don't want to be brought back into the spotlight for this nonsense. Anyway, a while back around January 2016, Jason tried to host his own raffle. I say tried because he seemed to miss the core concept of raffles, that being the concept of charity. As someone who has hosted raffles of my own in the past, I'd like to weigh in here with a side note from my own personal experience. If you offer commissions, you have the choice to pick and choose who you work for. You can accept or turn away whoever you like. It's your choice. For me, I like to redirect potential clients to other people who might be more fitting for the project if I'm too overworked or if the project does not align with my skill set. This is different with raffles. The person who wins is just the person who wins. Occasionally when you host a raffle, you may end up with a client that might not match your standard, or has an idea for something which is against what you normally do. The thing is though, is that you don't really have a choice but to figure it out and do what you promised. With Jason's raffle, he was giving away a free animation commission. I don't know if this was because he wanted to boost his following or if he was just too lazy to source some art for an animation of his own, but regardless, he hosted the raffle and drew a winner. The winner sent in the submission that they'd always wanted animated. It was a lovely SFW piece, 2 characters sitting by a fire, very cute. Now, those of you who are familiar with Jason's work will know that this is most definitely not his forte. So what's the standard procedure here? Is it A, do the commission anyway because that's what the winner wanted, B, offer to have it animated by someone else and pay for all the expenses, or C, refuse to do the work and redraw a new winner? Vote now on your phones. If you answered A or even B, congrats, you're a decent fucking person. Jason, however, refused to do the work and redrew a new winner, not even offering the original winner anything at all. Of course, there was a fair amount of backlash to all of this, and the news of how Jason had mistreated the original winner quickly spread through the fandom. Eventually, a gracious and understanding as well as much more talented animator heard the news and animated the scene for the original winner free of charge. That's really nice of them, right? What a nice ending to this horrible story of mistreating raffle winners and such. Too bad it ain't the ending though, because Jason decided to rear his ugly head in the fucking comments for the animation, leaving a snide remark that can only be described as the most pissy passive-aggressive comment I think I've ever read. This turned out great. The ambient effects are better than what I could have achieved. I particularly like the little panning 3D effect that can occur from moving your mouse around. For the characters themselves, I really like the ear flick / curve, which is a nice attention to detail there. The only real downside is that the characters remain mostly static, but it can't really be helped due to the pose. Overall, fantastic work! So not only does this guy have the audacity to come and comment on the final animation that he refused to do, but he also gives his input on the final product, complaining that the characters remain mostly static. Nobody asked you, Jason. Nobody fucking asked you.
Sexy, thick demon lady who is using very thick, extra thick.
A while back, Jason flew across the country to move into his girlfriend's parents' house. After a week, though, Jason was presumably kicked out by Caballero's parents and moved into their shed right outside the house. Keeping that in mind, Jason proceeded to make a GoFundMe to basically suck his fans to help him get out of that deep hole he was in. Wouldn't it just be better to get a fucking job, though? Here's the GoFundMe description screenshot so you could pause and read the lies for a bit if you feel like it. I wouldn't myself, though. And a short amount of time later, they reached their GoFundMe goal to make their shed suitable for living. But instead, they bought a fucking dog that Jason proceeded to post a picture of on Fur Affinity. A purebred puppy Shiba Inu, which cost over $2,000 goddamn dollars. How could you buy some exquisite shit like this when your living situation is actually fucking worse than the Flintstones? Take this with a grain of salt, though, because Jason said before, that was 2 months ago, talking about the living situation, which is also just a string of bad luck for moving and then moving again. Our financial situation is fine now. Moving on from the GoFundMe frenzy, here's the Patreon type shit. I did some digging for a bit and found out that there are 5 different fucking Patreons. Jasonafex is creating character creation templates, earning $416 per content patch. Judgement is creating animation and podcasts, earning $574 per month. One for his girlfriend, earning $1,167 per comic page, although we're not going to focus that much on her. This is about the human abomination after all. Jasonafex and team is creating Bareback Streets, earning $186 that's currently frozen, and Snaggletooth Studios, earning $1,035 per month. What fucking goblin needs 5 Patreons and still doesn't have enough for their cuckshed situation despite the money? What was the shit purpose for this crowdfunding effort on the GoFundMe if you have 5 separate Patreons existing between the two of you? Is it just to look like you're earning less money so people can donate to them even more, fueling your bank account furiously to mask the truth that you're an egotistical dirtbag? Anyway, after this shit scandal, they started losing backers because it was exposed that Jason was apparently selling off the rewards that people paid over $700 bills in return for. Jason addressed publicly that, I quote, both of our Patreons have been on a steady decline over the last 6 months, with mine suffering a 30% drop in support and Cab suffering a massive 50% drop.
Throw up in my fucking hand and smear it on my face. Smear it on your mother's face, you little shit-stained cocksucking assholes.
So there was this comic made about abuse and bullying, and our boy Jason decided to button and give his 2 cents when nobody asked for it. I would go into detail about his response, but Deckerlink has already covered the entire situation really well, and said all that I felt needed to be said. Link to the full video in the description, but please go check out Deckerlink's channel. He's very funny and entertaining, and he does a very, very good job of responding to Jason. Links to all his stuff are in the description.
Yeah, the first response, as you can see, is basically saying that discipline is important, and this comic has literally nothing to do with discipline. If discipline is a response to someone doing something bad and trying to teach them not to do that thing. Overemphasizing discipline is why our prison system doesn't fucking work. We're just focusing on punishing, we're not working on rehabilitation or trying to actually teach someone something. We're just yelling at them and punishing them and then throwing them back out into the world. Yeah, does that fucking work? No, it fucking doesn't. Second response is saying that what's happening here is trivial and happens in every household. If this happens in every household, then humans have failed. Also, the fact that you're saying that what anyone has gone through is trivial, if you're commenting on just the actions themselves, sure, but if you're trying to say that someone shouldn't respond to it a certain way, again, as I've already said, oh my god. People don't all respond to things the same way. And if you think that's how the world works, you're an ignorant piece of shit. While you likely do have crippling anxiety, that doesn't mean it's a healthy coping method. Anxiety isn't a coping method. It's a symptom. Idiot! I strongly suggest diluting these experiences rather than glorifying them as borderline PTSD. There's nothing glorious about mental illness! And telling an artist to dilute their product so that they don't accurately represent what they're trying to convey, maybe that makes sense coming from someone who hasn't been able to properly produce anything of any sort of substance, Jasonafex, and is emphasizing style over substance. But telling someone else, even an artist, to dilute their product so that they're not trying to convey the message they're trying to convey, that's just stupid. And then the second half is, oh, adulthood is so hard, and you need to learn how to deal with these small bumps in the road so that you can deal with the big ones later. This instead reinforces helplessness and victimization. I know I'm using the word stupid a lot, but there's a difference between being stupid and having stupid opinions. I know a lot of smart people with stupid opinions, but oh my god, really? To a child, Their entire life has been the few years they've had up until that point. So if their entire childhood, be it only a few years, has been filled with abuse, then that is their entire life. They have no reason to know that there's going to be something else past that point that may be better or not. Reinforces helplessness and victimization. He is a victim! What the fuck are you talking about? Reinforces helplessness? He has no help! They're being totally ridiculed at school, their mind is going against them because they're being traumatized, and their parents are totally abusing them too! They have no help and are a victim! Are you really this dumb?
Jason is quite the egotistical figure, and I'm not going to state this with no proof either. Here's 2 of many kick-ass tweets from the one and only. Lol, I'm top 5 on FA, live under a rock? No, I just don't give a fuck. Those tagging me want attention. I'm a popular boy. Think anyone would give a shit if I wasn't? Jason also has the fucking fetus mentality of I can say whatever I want and your opinion does not matter. As you can see here, I don't give a fuck whatever height or posturing someone brings to a debate. If your opinions are weak and you can't articulate them, not getting any respect from me. Jason, pro tip coming from a brain that isn't whatever the fuck is in your head. No one gives a fuck if they get your respect or not. Your respect is worth about as much as your reputation. If people tag me, I'll say whatever I want. You know, it's funny. Jason always says he doesn't care, but then replies to a bunch of people who disagree with him. Actually, this brings us into our bigger, much more spicy topic. Here's the juicy part. Pepper Coyote against Jasonafex. Pepper was tired of Jason's shit. Jason would say things like, no one has the courage to tell me to my face that I'm wrong. So, Pepper wanted to squash that dog shit statement and prove him ultimately wrong. Jason seemed not too happy with someone actually wanting to say something to his face, as you could tell in these passive-aggressive tweets. But he didn't decline, fortunately. When the night of the meetup came, Jason tweeted, I gathered that Pepper Coyote would puss out from a meetup. Midnight and he's nowhere to be seen. If you don't have a dick, don't waste my time. Respond that you're in the lobby or I'm moving on. You want to talk about dicks, Jason? After all, you did Photoshop your fursona onto the picture of a gay porn star. Exactly 4 minutes after that tweet, Pepper responded with, B, are you here? Allied with a picture of him in the lobby. Fucking legend. An hour and a half later, Jason tweeted this, basically saying once again he doesn't care about his opinion. Then why the shit would you tweet about it multiple times and accept the meetup? And describing everything Coyote said as bitching and moaning. Meanwhile, on Pepper's side, he summarized Jason's argument as, whatever he says, he's legally allowed to say, so he could say it. Which, to be honest, is believable if you look back at this tweet. Here's a brilliant tweet by Zenny, which pretty much describes what happened, and a meme by Sword that also pretty much describes it all. And, Jason, saying that what Pepper did was just a petty ego boost is pretty funny coming from you. You should be the last person in this fucking universe to call out others about an ego. But props to you, Pepper. You get nothing but respect from me. Jason, the mighty god himself, tends to call anyone who criticizes him in the slightest an SJW or a troll, as you could see in these 10 different goddamn screenshots. That's kind of fucking AIDS, denouncing all that criticize you or throw shots at you as SJWs and trolls. But I guess it's how things roll with Afex. Tell yourself everyone against you is just trolls, so you could focus more on fueling your own ego to make it big enough to block out the reminder of how sad you are. Making jiggly dicks won't last forever. Jasonafex. Lol, for me to need to block someone, I need to not be able to handle something first, which is why I have no one blocked on Twitter. I just point out people's bullshit until they run away, which for you is probably pretty soon. Well, Jason, it looks like you've not been able to handle quite a few things. You know, it's funny, because I'm blocked by his girlfriend, Cabier. And I'm pretty sure Sora's blocked by both of them, too.
I was blocked by both of them, and Cabier still blocks me, but Jason's unblocked me, so finding dirt for this video was a lot easier thanks to that. Cheers, Jason. I'd also like to point out that this video isn't meant to just like be a perpetual dig at him, although it kind of is. My intention for being in this video is that I want this to be like a starting point for a conversation, you know? I want this to be like a dialogue. I want people to be talking about how, you know, people shouldn't be allowed to get away with this kind of shit. It's stupid. We should not be tolerating this kind of stuff at all. And I think as a community, it's our duty to try and do better to make sure that stuff like this can't keep happening.
I'd also like to thank Sor for being in this with me. It was quite a fun experience working with him, and quite exciting working with him for the first time, too.
Yeah, thanks for having me.